spoiling the Insidious movies before the Red Door comes out on Friday. Insidious 2 opens up in 1986 with a young Elise coming to visit a young Lorraine and a young Josh, who we already know is being haunted by the spirit of this old woman. She puts Josh under hypnosis, and we know that he's in the further, and at one point he stands up and says to like an unseen figure, "I'll show you." Elise is attacked, and she tells Lorraine that the best way to stop this is to just like suppress Josh's memories of it. So that's what she does. Fast forward to present time, this movie picks up exactly where the first movie ended. So Renee is being questioned about Elise's death because they suspect Josh. Meanwhile, Josh is acting rather fucking suspicious. But at the same time, paranormal shit continues to happen to the family, like it didn't stop. Dalton tells him he's having dreams about a woman in a white dress. He starts to hear Josh talking to himself. And then one day, that woman in the white dress attacks Renee in the house. And we see that Josh is hearing voices telling him to kill his whole family. But don't worry, because Specs and Tucker, now without Elise, are here to help. They find a video Elise had from this night in 1986, and they show it to Lorraine. They alter the lighting and can see that when young Josh stands up, they can see adult Josh in the background. Obviously, everybody's like, that's not possible, so they call in for reinforcement. They call Carl, who was Elise's former associate who was here that night. Carl uses spirit dice to try to get through to Elise, who urges them to go to an abandoned hospital where Lorraine used to work. Lorraine recounts a story about this patient named Parker Crane who tried to attack young Josh one day. Lorraine later saw him in an elevator out of bed, and when she asked a nurse why he was out of bed, she said, "He's not. He jumped to his death today." So the group finds Parker Crane's address and goes to his old home, and they find a bunch of corpses and a black wedding gown. They also find newspaper clippings about a serial killer called the Bride in Black. And it turns out that the black-veiled woman who has been possessing Josh is Parker Crane. And when he was alive, he would kidnap and kill women dressed as the bride. Meanwhile, the group is attacked, and it's revealed that they were never talking to Elise, but the spirit reveals itself as Mother Death. Meanwhile, back at home, Josh continues to spiral and get weirder and weirder, and Renee now realizes that he's possessed and this is not Josh. So Carl, Specs, and Tucker get there to basically drug him, but Josh manages to attack them all, and then Carl wakes up in the further. We do learn that he's not dead, but he is like on the brink of death, but he ends up surviving. When he gets to the further, he comes across real Josh. Josh and Carl come across the original house from the first movie, and Josh sees this evil spirit in the window talking into Callie's baby monitor. So now we see a flashback from the first movie when the house alarm was going off, and we learn that it's actually further Josh breaking into the house to save Callie. And in this beautiful scene, Callie is saved not by Josh, but by Elise. Elise obviously saves the day and tells Josh to go speak to younger Josh. So that's why he was in that video. That's further Josh. And young Josh helps them locate Parker Crane's house in the further. While this is all happening in the real world, Josh is trying to kill the kids, Renee and Lorraine. But in the further, they find Parker Crane, and it turns out that his mother is the white dress woman. And she was abusive to Parker and forcing him to dress and act like a girl. And we find out that adult Parker was killing women because his mother's spirit was telling him to. And in this really intense scene in the real world, fake Josh is going to kill Dalton. But at the same time, in the further, Elise defeats the mother's spirit, which stops Josh from killing Dalton. Because Dalton was asleep because he tried to go into the further to guide real Josh out. So Dalton finds Josh, brings him and Carl back, and the family reunites. And then they decide that they're going to have Carl wipe their memories just like they did to child Josh. The final scene is Specs and Tucker going to a home of a girl who is comatose, but we know that she's astral projecting. And we see the spirit of Elise there to help as well.